been on the streets banging tables, and those who have been on the bench, those who have been in the government offices, those who have been hiding in the Highbury Tower. That mix is very, very important for that. Lastly is some of the realities in our society. Yesterday we talked about mental health briefly during the judges' conference. Our chief guest, many of the people who are brought before court are actually sick. It is Justice Chibita who said all of us are a bit mad. It is a question of the degree. I think that is highly defamatory because he must be put to strict proof of that. But how do we protect those who are mentally ill, particularly in cases of estates? You are very rich, then you have mental illness. Then you are subjected to a lot of abuse by those who claim to understand your affairs better than you. I think we should even expand the debate, not just to be about mental illness, but even when you are an invalid, for instance, you are either having dementia, whether Parkinson's disease, any of these illnesses that are debilitating and they affect your judgment. All of you know about the disputes in one of the famous families where I think somebody is incapable of making decisions and the matter is dragging on and on and on. I understand the estate is being gutted and so on. So this is again where the judiciary should step in to declare what the law should be. If tomorrow I have forgotten everything, my head is empty, I'm on a wheelchair, I can't talk, I have to be fed, and then those who are part of my family are selling my property and so on, and how can the judiciary protect me? So you have given us homework. I think it is also our duty to give you homework that there are other frontiers where the judiciary needs to go to ensure justice. You have done many things like the recent one, and I'm glad the Office of the Attorney General came as and admitted. We are used to licking our wounds whenever we are injured in court. We always heal and we come back. So I hope that mentally ill people and those who suffer from debilitating conditions will also be protected by the judiciary, because this other case, I understand they have now gone to appeal to the president. Why should they go to the president? The president has enough problems, Congo, M23, and so on. He's a busy man. Let the judiciary do its job. Once again, let me thank the judiciary for this curtain raiser event. Let me congratulate the members of the bar, particularly the president, our president. I'm, by the way, a member of the Uganda Law Society since 1994. We had had threats that you were not going to come. You don't know how happy I was to see you. And I thank you for leading the troops here. These disagreements are healthy. And for me, my only disagreement with you is that you never went to Namilyango, you went to Kisubi. But that is a rivalry which is historical. So we thank you most sincerely. The bar is the voice of the population. If you hadn't come, we would have missed a lot. And this occasion would have proceeded with a huge discount on it. So, as usual, it is my duty to invite the next speaker, who, by the way, across the Nile is also my big brother and an elder. So, in matters of protocol, I'll never catch up with him, even if I became president. He will still be summoning me. That one, there is no negotiation over it. My Lord, the Honorable the Chief Justice, it is now my honor to invite you to address us, my Lord.
The Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, representing His Excellency the President of the Republic, my Lord the Honorable Deputy Chief Justice, Your Grace, the Archbishop of Church of Uganda, and your colleague, member of the clergy, the Honorable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the Deputy Attorney General, my Lord the Principal Judge, my Lords, the Honorable Justices and Judges of our Courts of Judicature, Your Excellencies, the Ambassadors, High Commissioners, and other members of the Diplomatic Corps here present, the various heads of government, departments, agencies, and statutory bodies, the Permanent Secretary of the Judiciary and other Permanent Secretaries here present, the Deputy Commissioner, Prisons, the representative of the IGP, Your Worships, the registrars and magistrates, the President of the Uganda Law Society, and distinguished members of the legal bar, the presidents of the various universities, Law Students Association, more specifically Gulu University, Cavendish, Kampala International, Uganda Pentecostal, and Bishop Stuart Universities, distinguished ladies and gentlemen in your various capacities, Right Honorable Prime Minister, we welcome you here with both hands, and we ask you to convey to His Excellency the President our appreciation for his enormous contribution to the judiciary transformation agenda, which has been the hallmark of my administration. When I came to office, the judiciary budget was a paltry sum, 198 billion. Somebody needs to do some simultaneous equation for me and tell me what percentage of the budget it is. And saying he is embarrassed, he has not been asked to come and speak. I'm not in charge of protocol, so I don't have an answer for you, but I will certainly address you in my speech. Thank you. As I speak now, the budget of the judiciary has virtually quadrupled in the close to 5 years I am in office. When we talk of the pursuit of our transformation agenda, when we speak of the many visible changes, when we speak of the number of judicial officers having catapulted say in the case of the High Court, from 50-something to close to 100. Magistrates from 100 to 300 and something. Registrars from less than 10 to close to 100. It is because His Excellency the President has understood the need to invest taxpayers' money in the judiciary so that we can play our part as one of the three arms of government. So please kindly convey our appreciation to His Excellency the President. I would have wanted to say this to him, but he's not been able to come. So I'm now conveying it through your good self. 2024, which is the year under review, a number of things happened in the judiciary. This booklet runs into over 30 pages. I'm not reading it verbatim. I'll just pick each one of you interested in knowing what transpired in the year 2024. You'll get access, either the hard copy or the soft copy. This will be availed to everyone who is interested to know the state of affairs that obtained in the judiciary in the year under review. We performed better than the year 2023. In the year 2024, there was slight increase, there was slight improvement. Again, it is attributable to the increase in numbers, more use of IT, more training, greater discipline, and a host of other things. So of the cases that were before us, we were able to dispose of 59.6. When I was in primary school, we wouldn't say 59.6. We would take it to the nearest whole number, and this would be 60. So we disposed of 60% of the cases that were before us. Given the challenges we have, I think this is a recognizable contribution in case disposal endeavor. We've given the details, you'll find it in this booklet. The details is broken down, what each court did, and so on and so forth. Uganda is now known for the plea bargain intervention in criminal justice disposal. It's taken root. Uganda is now being benchmarked by regional jurisdictions, by the African jurisdiction, on how we've done it and how we continue to do it. How the various jurisdictions can benefit from what Uganda has done. In 2024, 2,865 inmates enrolled under the plea bargain scheme. A total of 2,672 cases were disposed of, leaving 193 cases only pending. 177 inmates opted out of the scheme, so the success rate of the plea bargain in the year under consideration was 87%. The importance of the plea bargain, I can say, is threefold. One, an accused person who pleads guilty has exhibited contrition. To say guilty is to say sorry. I recognize that I've done wrong. And then when you bargain, you now seek forgiveness. That's really what the bargain is all about, the sentence and so on and so forth. And then it brings real closure to the criminal dispute. The aggrieved parties go back knowing, and they are really involved in the process, they go back knowing that real justice has been done. It's not between the state and the accused person. It involves the aggrieved persons. And for the Ugandan judiciary to dispose of 2,800 criminal cases through the usual means, calling evidence, listening to all of them. At one time, before we went digital, the judge was also the secretary, had to take notes in the long hand. To complete 2,865 criminal cases would take years. This was done in 1 year. Then the cost of conducting, so we had a saving of 25 billion Uganda shillings because of adopting the plea bargain mode of criminal justice delivery. We've given a summary, we've given a breakdown of how this was conducted in the year under review. Then for the small claims procedure courts, we have expanded. These are cases which are not more than 10 million claims each. Currently, the small claims procedure is rolled out to 195 courts across the country. The expansion of the small claims procedure courts and the growing number of cases registered reflects a largely user-friendly and demand-driven initiative. The small claims courts recorded a steady growth in disposal at both claim and demand notice levels over the 3 years under review, as indicated in the table below. You'll have time to go through this table. Then there is the mediation program for the year 2024. A number of activities which I've spoken about before happened in the year 2024. So one can say the year 2024 has been pivotal for the robust introduction of ADR. Out of 3,391 mediation causes, out of the 5,708 mediation causes registered, we completed 3,391. Out of the 3,391 causes which were disposed of, 2,028 were fully settled. 127 were partly settled. 1,197 mediations failed. 2 mediation cases were closed due to non-attendance of the parties, and 37 were withdrawn, and 14 were closed due to mediation time lapse. This translates into a success rate of 59.8%. Let me also say, the mediation were not only with regard to trial cases. It went up to appellate court. The Court of Appeal was able to resolve some matters through mediation. This is a very good point about the importance and success of mediation. Enhancement and advancement of the human resources. Our human resources have been expanding through new recruitment, incremental and replacement basis, and then regularization in the service. We had new appointments and promotions. The list is given. The staffing levels as of 21st January this year, 2025, records the judiciary having a total of 689 judicial officers, being 100 justices and judges and 589 magistrates. I set out the record. The Supreme Court has an approved structure of 11 justices, 10 have been filled. There's one vacancy. I'm made to understand one has been nominated to fill that one vacancy. We are very happy to hear this. Justices of the Court of Appeal, which serves also as the Constitutional Court, they approved 11 registrars out of 12. It's one vacancy. We have 42 deputy registrars out of 80. We have 24 assistant registrars out of 40. We have 100 chief magistrates out of 160. I also gave, for senior principal magistrates, we have 11 where we need 40. For principal magistrates grade 1, we have 23 where we need 50. For magistrate grade 1, we need we have 332 where we need 514. Magistrate grade 2 is being phased out. So the total we have the approved judicial structure would be 1,164. 58% has been filled, leaving a vacancy of 489. From the table, which you will be able to read, it can be seen that in spite of the vigorous efforts and recruiting staff, the current judicial officers only constitute 51% in the upper bench and 60% in the lower bench out of the approved structure. This is partly because of the retirement and death of some judicial officers over time, and the fact that others are promoted from one rank to another, which in effect makes no addition to the staffing level. It is therefore desirable that in the short term we should recruit more staff to about 80% of the staff structure to realize the desired impact. Capacity building of the judicial officers. The judiciary has continued to prioritize capacity building of its staff through training of judicial officers in relevant fields and emerging trends that are critical to the administration of justice. The trainings conducted include: 1. Induction of all newly recruited justices, judges, registrars, and magistrates. 2. Training of judicial officers in adjudication of communication-related offenses, sexual and gender-based violence offenses, climate change and environmental offenses, ICT and tax system in Uganda, trafficking in persons, cybercrime, child psychology and development, among others. Retirement. I give a table of the number of judicial officers who have retired, and we hosted those who have retired and remembered the good job they have done. Now, many of you should be able to know, and for those of you who do not, I would like to announce that the Honorable Deputy Chief Justice will be retiring in April this year after an illustrious over 40 years of judicial service to his country. I take this opportunity to heartily appreciate my Lord the Honorable Richard Butera, the Deputy Chief Justice, whom I have had the privilege to work with. I knew him in 1982 when I was a second-year law student. For some of you who were born yesterday and you have the courage to abuse some of us, we've been around for a much longer time. He was a tutorial assistant and he assisted us in commercial law too, together with the now retired principal judge, Yorokamo Bamwine, who helped us to understand the law of torts. I admire Justice Richard Butera for one thing, among many, but the one which I think people need to know. When you head an institution like the one I am doing, and you have your immediate subordinate, your deputy, in the persona of Justice Richard Butera, you are a very fortunate person. You know, God creates us differently. I always say without any fear that for me, if you step on my foot, you better move your foot away because I will step on your foot too. That's how I've been created, and there's no pretense about it. But also the good thing is that after you've stepped on my foot and I've stepped on yours, when we meet, the stepping on the foot is no longer in my mind. You now meet and life continues now positively. When things are tense, when the climate is not favorable, when there is belligerence abounding, Justice Richard Butera has always been a cooling presence. Innumerable times I have called him in the middle of the night, but for some reason I'm not able to do this. Please step in. And in the morning he's there to do it. No excuse. And he goes and represents the judiciary as if he was prepared for 1 month. He's not given to any pretense. I don't know, my Lord, if you have any ambition in life. I don't know, except to do good. I don't know if that is an ambition, that is an attribute. But it's one person you can always sleep and you know he has a knife in his hand, he will not stab you. Many people are good at stabbing their colleagues on the back. Justice Butera will never stab you from behind or from in front. He will always give you very good counsel, very brotherly, He understands what fraternity is about. He understands what it means to be a family. We in the top management family, we benefited enormously from his wise counsel, from his cool temperament, and so. So my Lord, we will miss you, but we know you will always be perpetually with us. He is the person who headed the committee for the building of alternative dispute resolution in the judiciary of Uganda. I gave him the task, he took it up. Where we are is because I chose the right person, a person whose it is in his genes to mediate, not to pursue adversarial means of dispute resolution. It is in his nature that things are done by sitting down, by talking, by listening to the other side. I know you'll still be with us. I'll say more the day we say thank you to you formally, but I thought I should seize this opportunity to speak a little about your contribution to your country. We lost some members of our staff. I've recorded that. As you now know, and for those of you who had ever been here before last year and only came here now, the scene here, the scenery here is different. We have the towering Twin Towers, which has changed the landscape of Kampala. By the time we completed, they would have varied. It is called variation. I'm not an engineer. You vary the bills of quantities. They would have varied it 3 times. The cost would have gone up by 5 or 10 times. But for us, because we know this is the taxpayers' money, it is paid through sweat, and we owe it to our country, we owe it to our people. And this is the judiciary. You cannot associate the judiciary with corruption, you cannot associate the judiciary with thieving, and then where will you have the high moral ground to try a thief if you are indulged in thieving? So we did this. Now we are in our home, and I'm glad that the President has asked various leaders of this country to come and benchmark how you can do it. Right Honorable Prime Minister, your various departments can do what we did in the judiciary. It is not rocket science. It is just putting your foot down. It is just realizing that this is your own money. If it is squandered, even if it is donor money, the donor money is coming from some taxpayer in the donor country. Somebody has had to part with money so that it comes here. So what we've done in the judiciary can be done everywhere else in this country, and we remain a proud people that when tasked with the responsibility to perform, we did without any stain. We've completed construction of various high courts, Mukono, justice centers, Sembabule, Buweju, and other places. We are constructing 12 court buildings in various places. We are renovating court buildings in various places. We found, again, my PS is a down-to-earth person. He moved to various up-country courts. In one instance, he went to a building and he began rubbing his finger, I think it was his forefinger, index finger, on the wall, and what came out was sand. You're just rubbing on the wall, and what comes out in your hand? Sand. Meaning there was no cement to hold it together. The current construction that we are doing in the judiciary, and I say this so that our partners should hear, they can verify, we mean business. You win a contract in the judiciary today, for any infrastructure project in the judiciary, you know you'll run into problems if you play around. So you can take a tour to any of the structures, come to the PS, they'll give you an inventory of structures that have been put up during our tenure. Take your own engineers, go and find out how these structures are. So I'm happy to report that the taxpayers' money which has been used for putting up a building today will not require taxpayers' money to work on this building 5 years, 10 years to replace those buildings, as was the case before. Because the buildings are satisfactory and they are done professionally. Now, there are reforms in the legal and regulatory framework. A number of interventions have been registered in the legal regulatory framework and procedural rules as follows. The Judicature Amendment Act number 3 of 2024. Parliament passed the Judicature Amendment Act 2024, which increased the number of justices of appeal from 15 to 35, including the Deputy Chief Justice. This has greatly boosted the court with hopes to open branches at Mbarara and Gulu and then extending it to the other places. We hope to open Mbarara and Gulu this year to reduce the distance covered by court users to access the Court of Appeal services. The recruitment of more justices was commenced last year. I have heard official rumors that names have been sent to the Speaker of Parliament. It's a sizable number of judicial officer nominees. When the process is concluded and they are sworn in, it will greatly impact service delivery by the Ugandan judiciary. There is the Magistrates' Courts, in bracket Magistrates' Courts and Magisterial Areas, close bracket Instrument 2024. In furtherance of our dream of bringing courts nearer to the people, countrywide consultations were carried out, resulting in the enactment of the Magistrates' Courts and Magisterial Areas Instrument 2024. The instrument was gazetted on the 23rd of February last year as statutory instrument number 11 of 24. Under this instrument, every district in this country has a chief magistrate. In other words, every district is a magisterial area. But we'll have a chief magistrate's court, and every county constituency will have a magistrate grade 1 court. We have already established more courts, and we are looking for funds and more manpower to operationalize more courts across the country. 3, the judicature, in bracket electronic filing service and virtual proceedings, close bracket rules 2024. The Rules Committee considered and passed the judicature, electronic filing service and virtual proceedings rules 2024, which are pending gazetting. These rules will enhance the use of ICT innovations within the judiciary and will therefore enhance case management and performance of judicial officers. The rules provide, among others, for the following e-services. 1, use of technology in court processes. 2, electronic register and electronic filing. 3, electronic service and exchange of documents. 4, virtual proceedings and virtual hearing procedure. 5, e-signing and sealing of judgments and court records. 6, e-auctioning, e meaning electronic. 7, digitization of case files filed physically. 8. Electronic archiving and transfer of case files. Number 6. Automation of courts. The Electronic Court Case Management Information System, ECMIS, is currently being successfully implemented in 13 court stations, which are the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, 6 High Court divisions, Luwero High Court, 3 Chief Magistrates Court, namely Mengo, Buganda Road, and Standards, Utilities and Wildlife, and LDC, Magistrate Grade 1 Court. The implementation of ECMIS has given rise to the following. 1. Rollout of ECMIS has increased the case filing rate to 20.6% in the courts operating ECMIS. The average case completion rate has also increased at a rate of 17.5% in the courts operating ECMIS. ECMIS has increased non-tax revenue collection from 5 billion to 9.2 billion. B. Video conferencing systems. The judiciary has continued to enhance the capacity of courts to handle cases online through the installation of video conferencing facilities. A total of 17 video conferencing systems are installed in the courts as follows. 1. Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, High Court of Kampala, Commercial and Criminal Division, 11 High Court circuits, namely Mbarara, Arua, Masindi, Masaka, Jinja, Soroti, Lira, Fort Portal, Kabale, Mubende, and Bale. Buganda Road Chief Magistrates Court. Internet coverage. To improve automation of courts, the judiciary embarked on extension provision of internet to the courts. By the end of the year 2024, the coverage of internet in the courts across the country stood at 46%. The other events that occurred in the year 2024, we had our annual Judges Conference. We conducted a tailor-made training on ADR and on the 4th of March 2024, a section of members of the judiciary family who had completed this training graduated with a master's degree in dispute resolution and a certificate in international commercial arbitration of the Pepperdine University, United States of America. The graduation ceremony was conducted at the judiciary headquarters, and the 11 graduates, who included the Honorable Chief Justice of Uganda, where the Chief Justice himself is still the Chief Justice, not another one, the Honorable Richard Butera, Deputy Chief Justice, Honorable Norbert Mao, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Justice Mike Chibita, Justice of the Supreme Court, Honorable Justice Geoffrey Kiriavire, Justice of the Court of Appeal, Honorable Justice Paul Wolimbwa Gadenya, Judge of the Criminal Division, Honorable Justice Richard Wabwire Wejuli, Judge of the International Crimes Division, Mr. Francis Atoke, then Solicitor General, Ms. Rachel Odoi Musoke, Senior Technical Advisor, JELOS, Professor Andrew Kauka, Technical Advisor, Judiciary, Francis Gemara, Senior Counsel. Following this, we did a number of things. I've already told you I appointed the Honorable Justice Richard Butera, Deputy Chief Justice, to head the committee on the promotion establishment and promotion of alternative dispute resolution mechanism in the Ugandan judiciary. The judiciary of Uganda held an ADR week from 5th of August 24 to 9th of the same month, during which the courts dedicated time to educate the court users and encouraged them to consider alternative modes of settling their disputes. This was part of the ADR series that started with the plea bargaining conference held in June last year and the plea bargaining camp that was held in Ugandan prisons also in June. A total of 10 courts participated in the settlement week. These were the Court of Appeal, Land Division, Civil Division, Family Division, Commercial Court, Mukono High Court, Masaka High Court, Gulu High Court, Makindye Chief Magistrates Court, and Mengo Chief Magistrates Court. The targeted output of the settlement week was 200 cases. The target was surpassed. A total of 847 cases were cause listed, out of which 235 cases were successfully mediated. So achieved more than 100%. You sit for an examination and you get more than 100%. I don't know if there is any grade better than A. So that's what we achieved. Maybe A triple plus. We've given the breakdown. We've given the breakdown. There is a table here on page 16. I was amazed by the remarkable settlements realized in just 1 week. 49 cases were concluded at the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal resolved appeals through mediation, through alternative dispute resolution. Maybe this is one of the most remarkable thing about ADR. 35 at Family Division, 31 at the Commercial Court, and 66 at the Makindye Chief Magistrates Court. This was a miraculous achievement. We undertake to conduct ADR weeks regularly for the benefit of our esteemed court users, justice seekers. The Family Justice Summit, under the auspices of the International Law Development Organization, IDLO, the Family Justice Summit was conducted on the 12th and 13th of August 2024, and certainly increasing stress and hindering production. The Family Justice Summit was an eye-opener to the vast, unique challenges that family justice faces, which the judiciary is committed to resolve. The need for ADR interventions in family matters was highly echoed. Commissioning of the court-accredited mediators. Following a number of practical trainings on ADR, in May, in conjunction with the Pepperdine University, I commissioned the court-accredited mediators in an effort to implement the Alternative Justice System Strategy 2023. The one the Honorable Minister of Justice says is going before Cabinet now. The mediators were subsequently deployed in various courts where they are executing their work quite effectively. We break down the courts where they're operating. I've tabulated it here. And then we did regional trainings for court-accredited mediators. National Court Open Day. The judiciary organized the first ever National Court Open Day in April of last year to give opportunity to the court users and stakeholders to interact with the court administration and court staff of the various courts in Kampala. The following courts and departments erected exhibition stalls and interacted with the court users at close range. the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, all the 7 High Court divisions, the East African Court of Justice, the Inspectorate of Courts, the Judicial Training Institute, the Industrial Court, and ECMIS as a program. Among the other key participants were the Uganda Police Force, the Uganda Prison Service, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Law Reform Commission, UNODC, and the Law Development Center. The feedback from the participants was quite useful to our future plans for the judiciary. Valuable information was shared, and a number of complaints were addressed instantly. We plan to have this arrangement on an annual basis, in addition to the other court open days organized by individual courts. I already mentioned to you, we put up these twin towers. The President commissioned it last year in April. I've already given you the story of the twin towers, what was done, and why it stands out as an example of how and why it is possible even for government to do business without soiling its hands. In these two structures, it is a state-of-the-art court building. We have health and wellness centers which are fully operational, with a state-of-the-art gym, massage, sauna, and steam bath available all week long. Honorable Minister, you can come to the PS and he'll be giving you a card so that you walk in and enjoy all these things. Where you don't suffer the other Lugambo, you come here and the attendants are highly trained and experienced in the job. I invite your lordships to join us and reap the benefits of these important facilities. Right Honorable Prime Minister, again extend our appreciation to His Excellency the President of Uganda, because when the idea of putting up these twin towers came up, he said the Ugandan taxpayers must put up this building. So every coin that went into putting up these two structures was from our URA collected funds. It did not come from anywhere else. Benchmarking visits by sister judiciaries. The Ugandan judiciary has grown. We've really improved in many areas. We are now a destination point for other jurisdictions. Kenya, Malawi, Zambia, and others. Others are still planning to come. Coming to know, how have you done it? How have you been able to do this? So we intend to continue like this. For example, in May this year, we are hosting an international conference on commercial justice, which brings together jurisdiction in the African continent, here in Kampala. Again, this is evidence of the confidence the world has in the Ugandan judiciary because of what we have done in the recent past, and we continue to do. We have operationalized various judiciary committees, the whole range, 10 of them: Planning, Development and Finance Committee, Case Management Committee, Law Reform Committee, Anti-Sexual Harassment Committee, Performance Management and Awards Committee, Disciplinary Committee, Information Committee Communications Technology and Documentation Committee, Integrity Committee, Human Capital Development, Gender and Equity Mainstreaming Committee, and Audit Committee. The Audit Committee is chaired by a retired judge.